But I just wondered if you could comment on a statement I came across from the Egyptian tradition. And it says this, that God reveals itself according to man's ability to face the exposure of himself by himself. I'm not sure I understand what it means, but it seems there is some deep meaning there.
Just say it once more.
God reveals itself according to one's ability to face the exposure of themselves by themselves.
Yes, okay. God reveals itself according to man's ability.
Sorry, or willingness.
Or willingness yes. To face the exposure of itself. Is that the gist of it? Yes. So, man's willingness, a person's willingness to face the exposure of itself. So, first of all, what does a person call themselves? I. So, God reveals itself according to our willingness to face the exposure of what we are, the exposure of what the I is, which most people feel is something temporary and finite. So, we want to expose the nature of ourself, the nature of that which we refer to as I. So how are we going to find out about the nature of I? The same way that we find out about the nature of anything we are interested in. We give it our attention. So we direct our attention towards what we call I. I am obviously that which is aware of my experience. So we turn our attention towards the I that is aware of experience, which we believe, as we said in the previous conversation, is something that lives in here and shares that lives in the body and shares the destiny and the limits of the body. Now, as we begin to direct our attention towards this I, we're going towards the hole in the piece of paper, that which is innermost in ourself, which we think shares the destiny and the limits of the body. It shares the shape of the whole. And this is what is called a self-inquiry. We go towards this I, and in doing so, now when I say we go towards this I, it is I, that the we is that is going towards itself. It is I that is going towards itself. So we don't really go towards ourselves because we're already there. The I is already with itself. So it's not really, it's just a manner of speaking to say that we turn our attention around and shine it on ourself because ourself is already with ourself. It's too close to shine its attention on it. So then we get rid of the phrase, shine our attention on ourself, and we replace it with the phrase, we stay with ourselves. We remain with ourselves, with this that we call I, the I of I am aware. We rest there, we abide there. It's no longer now self-attention, but rather self-resting or self-abiding. And it is in this self-abiding that we see that this that is aware in us, this that knows itself in us as I am or I am aware, which we previously thought was buried deep in the body or the mind, actually is not in the body or the mind. It's just this open, empty space of awareness. The circle, the round hole, is in the paper, but the space, which seems to share the shape or the limitations of the whole, doesn't. The space, when we explore the space, has no shape and it is not tiny. So the I, so the willingness, our willingness to go towards, metaphorically speaking, the I and to stay there, to stay with the I that I am, or the I that is aware, and to abide there. As we do this, the I is gradually divested of all the limitations that thought and feeling superimpose upon it. So the I is being divested of all its limitations. And what is left in the end is the pure I, free of all the imagined limitations. And that is the I of infinite being or infinite awareness, which is called God in religious language. So it's a beautiful statement from the Egyptian tradition. God reveals itself to itself in proportion to the person's willingness to expose the nature of I to themselves. So it's spot on. It's a beautiful formulation of what starts out as a process of self-inquiry and then becomes a process of self-abidance, in which the true and only I of infinite awareness is gradually divested of all its superimposed limitations.